I don't know anything other than let's go to work. Let's rally the troops. Let's enjoy the men that I've hired and the young men that I've recruited. Let's coach them hard. Let's go with victory, and I'm going to enjoy that. It's just that simple. So if you have questions along those lines, I'll take one or two, but I'm done speaking about me in about 2 minutes. So perfect. Oh, Cabo, just under the wire. Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you've heard the reports. You know that some people already have you fired. Some people have you fired at the end of the
Yeah,
week.
they had me in a job not long ago either, too, as I recall. In fact, on a plane that I was not on. So
Knowing what's ahead of you, would you like to be involved in the discussion should it come to a departure?
I don't want to go there. That would be I would be not doing my job as the head coach at LSU, one that I've enjoyed doing, and a group of young men that I enjoy representing. So what is the future is, to me, after the Texas A&M game, great games to be played, Tiger Stadium, and so I'm not going to find myself watching TV or reading papers or doing anything but preparing a game plan, looking at the advantages that we can have and seeing if we can exploit them to victory. So now, so that being said, pardon?
Do you take any more questions?
Well, I was going to kind of say a couple things. Are you saying you're in? Go ahead, Jacques. Go ahead, Jacques. No, I should give at least two. Go ahead. It just didn't seem like there was a lot of hands coming up in the room. Go ahead.
Okay. A lot of people locally and nationally, considering your track record, what you've accomplished and everything, find this whole topic to be a bit ridiculous. Are you hurt or are you upset that this was leaked last week, this information? And
Again, I don't know. Just as an example, there was a tremendously reputable national sportscaster who was the source of the information that was completely erroneous 9 years ago. Okay, so I'm gonna go on to work, and I think it's I think the question's valid. I think you're exactly, at some point in time, there's a me in this, not while I'm coaching. This will always be about our players and the team. And I am a separate piece. I orchestrate and move with, and hopefully am successful. And that's the only way I know how to do it. So, 15 seniors. Anytime you come to senior day, you look at times where, it's been more than playing games. It's young men that are working to get their degree, improving to get ahead, investing time and effort and energy to have a great team. And I can tell you that the 15 seniors, I'm proud of them. I think they'll go off and be leaders in business and great husbands and fathers. So it's always a tough day for the coach. But in recapping the Ole Miss game, felt like we were really in position to play well. Defensively gives up a big play and then really plays very hard, stops them on 3rd and 1, gives up a field goal, and it's time to go play football. And offensively, we take the first play. It's about a 60-yard gain, and a freshman guard makes a great technique play, gets out in position, and transgresses and violates. And there's no question it's a hold. And it was a great call. It was a call I would have made. The effort and energy that it took for him to be there and do that, I'm going to give him credit for that. I'm not going to I'm going to coach hard against the technique that he used in the back end of the play, but I am going to say, as a true freshman, getting there was certainly half the battle, but you got to finish, and we'll teach that technique. I looked at the penalties as a group. I felt like certainly the officiating was unbiased and fair. Felt like there were some contested calls. I don't know that that has any merit at this point, but again, we would take advantage and have flip the field, except we go back and we take a minus 15. And we did that just too often. Offensively, we put 508 yards up, 184 rushing, 324 passing. And if you avoid the penalties and you have a little bit of poise on the road, you win the game. And you win the game on offense. Defensively, we gave up 7 big plays, the 3 penalties that were, really. T. White is really not a guy that is susceptible to pass interference, but he did, and but there were a couple of plays that were really forced mistakes. Guys making a tackle and swipes by a face mask, and I promise you, I studied it. I guess that's the call, but I'd have to tell you that that was a call that could have been made a bunch. So, but I think our defense, really held that team to their second lowest total of the year, and I think some of the matchups. I think corners had a tough day. I think there's we lost edge on the quarterback carries. Some missed tackles. Quarterback played hard. Give our opponents some credit. But and then we in that period of time where we come back in after halftime and go to 24-17, we're in a position where we take a penalty that we would not normally have taken because we needed to keep them out of field goal range, and they score in that next play. So if we avoid those plays, avoid that those big penalties, defensively we play much better. Special teams were probably the bright spot of the day. We kicked off. They averaged 17 yards a return. We forced 2 fumbles. One we got. The punt return, we blocked the punt, and we got 14 yards on a return. When we punted, we held their return yardage to a half a yard, and Jamie was dominant, and I really felt like our teams played very, very well. Again, winning at halftime, down 24-7, came back to 24-17, 1 score away, and needed a stop and didn't get it on defense. And our last 5 possessions on offense were an interception, 3 turnover on downs, and it's too many mistakes and too many penalties. But looking at Texas A&M, a very good football team, 8-3. Coach Sumlin's done a very good job. Had a nice win over Vanderbilt, and he's, of course, they got a defensive coordinator I'm very familiar with, and he's a very talented coach, and we'll look forward to hosting him in our stadium. So, offensively, they're averaging 30 points and 179 rushing, 260 yards passing. Kyle Allen's a quarterback that seems to be getting better and better. Threw for 336 against Vanderbilt, and a nice running back and Tra Carson, 990 yards, 6 touchdowns. Talented wide receivers, and Christian Kirk, 16 receptions for 871 yards and 6 touchdowns. They have very talented defense, guys that can rush the passer and move quickly. Garrett Miles leads the conference, or excuse me, Miles Garrett leads the conference in sacks, and Armani Watts is number 2 in tackles in the conference. So it's always going to be a hard-fought game. It's always going to be close. It's a great rivalry game, but we'll look forward taking the field at Tiger Stadium and on Senior Day and playing very hard and playing for victory. So, questions?
Hey, Les, if you don't mind, I have to ask you, have you met with any LSU administrators over the last week to discuss your job?
And if you don't mind, I'm going to say that I really said speculation on my job at this point is off limits. And the information that I have is do your job as you would do it. So, and that is something that I took when I took that job 11 years ago. And if someone's asking me if I'm coaching for my job, I think I've done that for 11 years.
You still plan to speak to your team today about your job, like you said, after Saturday
Yeah,
night?
absolutely. Yeah, this will be a warm up for the team meeting.
Lastly, about John Chavis, y'all still stay in contact since he's left?
Well, he coaches for another club, so it becomes a problem.
Coach, to your left, I'm sorry, to your left. After the Florida and Auburn games, you, in so many words, talked about how good this team was, and some of your players even said better than maybe you initially thought. At this point, can you look back and say maybe you all were wrong, that you weren't as good as maybe you thought earlier in the season?
Yeah, I don't know that I can say that. I think we're a talented team. I think what's happened is we've got nicked. We've really used a number of guys in this season. I think our depth is so much better than it's been. I think we're going to be a better football team. I can tell you that we started 3 offensive linemen that were freshmen, and I think all 3 of them are going to be really good players, if not great players. So I guess what I'm telling you is you can have a flat tire for a while, but here at LSU, this is an elite program. We expect to kind of regroup and get going fast, and that's really where we're at.
Are you considering retirement? There's been some talk about that.
No, I'm not considering retirement.
Les, straight in the back. You mentioned just putting your head down and doing your job. How about your job as a recruiter, and would it help to have a vote of confidence from your athletic director to in turn say to recruits, I'm going to be here?
Yeah, I have not really thought about that. I know this. We've made plans to, tactically recruit our board, and I'm not really giving thought to that, to be honest. And I don't think that's necessary, to be honest. I think we go forward, and obviously, I'm the coach, or something else happens, and obviously, I'm not the coach.
Coach Miles, in the back, what is the attitude and the mood right now amongst the coaching staff?
Yeah, I think I started this morning's meeting with kind of a same rendition as I gave you here, and I think that they kind of understand this is not about me. This is about the team. This is about preparing to beat an opponent and to enjoy the young men that we coach. I think that I think there's probably some concern, but I think overall they're professionals. They understand it's really victory is maybe more important than anybody's job.
Les, one more back here about Leonard Fournette, still leads the country in rushing yards. Does he need a trip to New York as a Heisman Trophy finalist to validate his status as one of the best in the game, or does he not need that?
Well, I'd like to say that if you watch a competitor, you watch him play, that he would be the kind of guy that would represent any national award extremely well. He's good off the field. He's a great teammate. He's unselfish. And when you give him his opportunities, whether it's a block or whether it's a run, it is run full. I mean, it's full speed. It's you'd best be prepared. So yeah, I'd like to say that those people in New York need to consider inviting him.
Before I ask my question, I'd like to point something out. Ole Miss had 16 seniors on their depth chart. You have 4. One of them is a punter. There also, the 3 games you've lost, the quarterbacks of the other teams, Coker, Allen, and Kelly, all more seasoned than your guy. And you've lost 2 tight ends, the best blocking fullback, and Hawkins during the course of the season. I think that's kind of being overlooked. And of course, you see, last year I had you picked for 8-4 going into the bowl. 8-4 going into the bowl. This year I had the 8-4 now. 8-4 for this season. You lose to A&M and win the bowl, you 8-4. You beat A&M to lose the bowl, you 8-4. So, with that, I'll ask my question. What happened when it was 4th and 1 on the goal line? Some kind of mix-up there. It was supposed to be a handoff, and it was a pitch out. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, there was miscommunications there, and let us just say that the burden there is probably coaching. That'd be me. So, but I look at that specific piece and recognize that maybe there's a piece that didn't get covered. Maybe there was coaching that needed to be done better. But that was a mistake by one of those players.
And my other question, Buzz Delaney, the Big Ten commissioner, back in the summer, I read this story. I haven't seen anything about it since. But you play freshmen, quite a few freshmen, true freshmen. He wants to invoke eligibility for freshmen in football and basketball for academic reasons. What is your take on that?
They would have we'd have a difficult time fielding a team. We lose guys as juniors, and we recruit young men that we think are capable enough to take the field early, prepare them, and we end up playing significantly with a large freshman class. I would say, and I haven't seen the statistics for this year, but last year I want to say we had 17 or 18 true freshmen played, and that was the highest number, and 15 each of the years before that true freshmen playing. So I would have to say that if they limited a freshman class, then they better do something about limiting junior exit, because otherwise you get to a point where you just don't have a team.
You still have 4 years of eligibility under his plan.
But we're basically redshirt. But what happens is, like, for instance, Michael Brockers, who's a great player here, we redshirted him his first year. His second year, he was a backup and played. And in his third year, he was an All-American and a first-round draft pick. And he only stayed 3 years, and he was redshirted. So it really doesn't make any difference. You can redshirt, a class, but if they're talented, those are the guys you recruit, and as juniors, many of which they leave.
Les, do you have an update on Gerald Hawkins or Traven Durrell?
I think there's a really good chance that Hawk will be healthy, ready to play. I do not know about Travian Durrell. I think we're going to have to see on that one.
As a follow-up, for those of us that aren't, well educated on football or anything, how big of the loss of J.D. Moore and Dylan Gordon has it been to Leonard's progression the last few games?
Well, Leonard's progression, he has evolved. I mean, there's not an issue with him. That is a very quality running back, understands the whole, has good vision, all those, his evolution, that's not an issue. Some of the holes and the width of those holes, J.D. Moore and Dylan Gordon, some other guys that are significant, that may well have made a difference or two.
Les, after the end of the day, you said your offense needs to be fixed. How can you fix it this late in the season, or is it just something you got to fix in the off season?
Yeah, I can't tell you I want to fix it in the off season because frankly I want to win this next game. And I think the good news is the three freshmen that really played pretty well. In fact, I think Will Clapp is going to be a dominant player. I think Maya Tahuma is going to be a dominant player, and I think Toby Weathersby also will be a dominant player. And guys that really have grown up as freshmen, and like Toby in his first significant playing time, played really pretty well. Now he made some mistakes. He's part of those two, motion penalties or movement penalties, but he's going to be a good player.
Do you see a change of scheme? Like, Alabama kind of went out of the bare realm and hired Lane Kiffin. Do you see is there a scheme problem? Like, you really have to go in a different direction about how you rethink the offense?
I think right now, wherever you set the scheme, I think you need to have guys that have some poise and some comfort of play and some of those things. And I think the fix is more, I think our fullback's getting better. He needs to get better quicker. And I think those guys that we have, you can change scheme and scheme and scheme, but if the players aren't comfortable in running what it is you're calling, it can be a problem.
Les, we know you don't talk to Chief too much anymore because he's on a different team, but do you expect to be able to capitalize on your years of knowledge of his scheme? And is this maybe a little personal facing off against one of your former coaches?
We've lined up against former coaches before, and I can tell you that it's never a fun thing. It's never a good thing, and but I think it's going to be fun competition.
Coach, if Coach Chavis would have gotten the raise he wanted, and if he had a smoother relationship at the time with Joe Aliba, do you think you'd have had a better chance of keeping him?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I can go back and do it accurate to that recollection, to be honest. So I think it's best that that speculation might not serve us.
Coach, Brandon and some of his decision making, looks like he may get some people hurt with some of the high throws he's made. Have you talked to him about that, or just where he's going with the ball?
Yeah, he's still in his first year of starting. He's still a sophomore. He's still a guy that is coming and made some nice throws, but needs to understand some of the places that he's throwing the balls. Can put a receiver in harm's way. I can also tell you that I was glad to see him, instead of run laterally, he took off and got some nice vertical yardage for us. And I think that some of those things will benefit him as he goes forward.
Hey, Coach. I know every year you want to win a championship, but you've illuminated on the youth on the offensive line. Before the season started, did you think this year might be a year where you have some growing pains and some stuff to learn, but next year might be a year that y'all can do something?
Here's kind of how I saw it. I saw that we had an offensive line that might well develop into being one of the best in the country. Had a tight end that was just going to be a dominant player. Two wide receivers that had great speed and ball skills. A young quarterback that was, still on the learn and working hard to get better. It really, had a great summer. I did not in any way, see anything but what could be the high side for this team. So, and you factor in some nicks here and there and some timing and some other issues, and it's this is the team that is to this point, and I think coaches included, just want victory. And they've wanted it for a couple weeks now, and I think it's just really what they need.
Les in the back again. You've been the coach here for 11 years. It's a rarity for any coach to stay at any one place for 11 years. It's meant that your kids have gotten to go to the same schools, to the same school system for 11 years. What has that meant to your family? You've had questions about your job in the past. There's been bumps in the road, but to have gotten this far, to be at this point, for your family to have been able to stay in the same place for 11 years, which again is a rarity in coaching, what has that meant for you and your family to overcome the adversity that you faced up to this point and be here?
Yeah, I think the stability in LSU, the being the head coach and giving leadership here, and allowing my family to enjoy the opportunities of the community and the enjoyment of Louisiana, I think it's just been rich to our family. It's given us insight to people and different areas, and this is home.
Coach, back here, what are some of the challenges going up against a team like A&M that's played significant time with two different quarterbacks that play two different kind of styles?
Well, there's a crossover kind of piece to them. They operate the same style of offense, in a small segment, and then where they're different, it requires different defense, and I think it's gonna be certainly a nice matchup there.